I think the mic is.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna Prabhus, Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki. So on behalf of the devotees here, we want to thank everyone for having come for this Damodar program. This Damodar program is a bit special. It's been the brainchild of some of the devotees here, where we wanted to gather all the youth boys. We call them, we split them into two groups. We have the Madhavas, who are the younger youth, and we have the Bhaktavatsalas, who are the a little older youth, but all are males, all are Prabhus. So we wanted to gather everyone together, especially during this pandemic. We haven't had the chance to associate physically with each other. To come together, exclusively have this program for all of you, so that you can hear, you can chant different names, and most importantly, make friends. Because what will happen is the Madhavas, who are the younger ones, will eventually transit into the Bhaktavatsala group, which is nicely led by Vishwanath Prabhu. So at least if you all get to know each other, and the best way to get to know each other is to hear together, is to chant together, and also to serve together. So the objective of today's program, of course, is to glorify the Lord, but I would also encourage all of you to get to know each other. And we want to recommit ourselves. The year is ending, of course, but the new year is also going to start. So our request is the youth, the Madhavas, and the Bhaktavatsalas should always be mainstay in all the programs, engaging in services, taking up more services. Like I'm here speaking, right? It should not always be only 1-2 person speaking, doing kirtan, taking classes. Ananta Acharya Prabhu today is a great example. He came from the youth ranks, and now he's seated here taking the class. So this is how progress is made. So today's program should be an impetus for all of us to start coming more to the center, to be associated with each other, and to take up more service. So without further ado, I would like to invite Ananta Acharya Prabhu to take a class on the pastime of Lord Damodar. And after the class, we will have Damodar Ashtakam, which will be very nicely led by Tushar. And after that, we can again, as I said, get to know each other. We'll have prasadam. Only thing is we have to pack it, and then we will wait to start the next program. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, Prabhus, especially Madhavas and Bhaktavatsalas, a very warm welcome to the Damodar program that we host now. So as Prabhu said, it's a very nice juncture. We get together. First time we interact with each other. We discuss on the pastime of the Lord. So like you are all aware, we are in this Kartik Mass. So the Gaudiya Sampradaya highlights this month as Damodara month because of this wonderful pastime of Damodara with his mother Yashoda. So in this month, right, the process we generally follows here nicely the Damodar pastime. We sing Damodar Ashtakam and we offer ghee lamps. So though this process may apparently look the same, but it is not. So the intent behind this process has to be refined with time. So the intent has to go deeper and deeper and deeper. Even the great of acharyas follow the same process, but we doing the same process and themselves, the overall mode is very different. So we need to, Devikanandan Prabhu often says this point that the freshness or the eagerness in hearing this pastime, performing devotional services has to be maintained in order to advance in this devotional service. So like we used to appreciate every significant event, any auspicious events that happens in a week, right? It's a question for Madhavas. So what do you think that's special about yesterday, which is 12th of November? connecting to this picture. Oh, next slide. Connecting to this picture, which is the ISKCON Vrindavan Radha Shyama Sundar. Do you think about any significant event that happened yesterday? Anyone from Madhavas who know can raise hand. Any Bhakta Vatsalas? Atul Prabhu, do you want to say what it is? Gopashtami. Okay, that's correct. It's Gopashtami. So the significance of Gopashtami is this is the day when Vrajavasis, the residents of Vrindavan, consider Krishna to be promoted to the next phase where he can handle cows from calves. So Bhagavatam refers to Krishna in this phase as Vatsapala. So our Vedic tradition, right, according to age, they put into two categories. From age 0 to 5, they call it as Kaumara. Kaumaram, Yavvanam, Jara. We have a verse in Bhagavad Gita as well. So Kaumara is the age from 0 to 5. Now Krishna is transitioning from Kaumara to Paunganda, where the age is 6 to 10. So on this day, on yesterday, thousands of years before, residents of Vrindavan agreed Krishna. Jointly they decided, okay, let Krishna and other Gopas along with him can take cows from now on than just calves. So this another interesting point. So on this occasion, right, Radharani, who was in ISKCON Vrindavan and few other temples, was dressed like a cowherd boy. So this is very unique about this event as well. So in Kartika Mahatmya section of Padma Puran, it glorifies a very deeper level of this Gopashtami festival. So the 8th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month Kartika, which is 12th November, from Amavasai, which is from Amavasai, the 8th day yesterday of the month is known by the authorities as Gopashtami. From that day, Lord Vasudeva served as a cowherd, whereas previously he has tended the calves. So after this, right, when Balaram, Krishna and other Gopas took the cows, we all know cows eat very nicely and also slowly because it assimilates the food, it just takes its own sweet time. So Krishna along with other Gopas, they went for this tour in the morning, they pastured, they sit and chat. So whoever associated with this, whoever get to meet them, are very joyful in this overall experience. So we are like the youth community, right? I like to have experiments going. So a very quick, next slide, a very quick experiment. So I would like to request you all to close your eyes, sit straight, try to be thought free for next 30 seconds. Time starts now. All right, time's up. May I check any Madhavas to share their experience? Would you be able to control your thoughts from flowing? Anyone? Dhruv, do you want to share?
It's not possible to make my mind don't think of anything because even if I don't think of anything, I'm thinking that I must not think of anything.
Very true. I was thinking the same. Don't think anything. Don't think anything. Even that is a thought in itself, which is the nature of the mind. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it's very, very difficult to it's very, very difficult to control the mind. Even Arjuna, right, the greatest of warriors, he say it is easy to control the wind, but this mind is very, very difficult. And Krishna says it could be possible by proper practice and detachment. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So the next one, go back. So why I conducted this is on this topic of Sankalpa, which is setting a right intention before we begin any spiritual activity, is very, very important, says a senior acharyas. So Sankalpa is basically setting the intention on what I wanted to do with this activity, what goal I focus, so that throughout this activity that I perform. So let's say if I'm hearing this lecture for the next 30 minutes, what do I wanted to achieve? What is the goal? So if I set this intention, I'm consciously commanding my subconscious mind to facilitate my focus so I perform well at the end. So this, I set the intention for our lecture. Let us hear the Krishna's pastime very nicely, take a 2-3 practical pointers to our lives and implement so that we progress both from whatever we do in terms of professional and spiritual life. Next one. So what is our approach? So everything, right, from this material world and spiritual world, there should be an approach towards anything. So I follow this 3 concentric circle approach to be very, very helpful. First is the beginner level. So let's take a newcomer who comes and sits in between us, right? By the end of this lecture, he goes out saying that, oh, it's a very wonderful pastime of Krishna. And then he goes back into the same normal routine life. Next one. So the next one, in devotees terminology, that beginner level is called Kanishta Adhikari. So the next level, the same person comes 2 or 3 times, he hears the same pastime, but with an extra effort. What is this pastime meant for us, mean for us? So what I can take back from these pastime and put it into my life so that I'm somehow different from I used to be. So this little extra effort he puts, he's into the intermediary stage where it is called Madhyama Adhikari. Next stage. So here is the pro level. So those are the highly advanced person, like a guru in a spiritual journey, a spiritual master, or any technical specialized person like a PhD, like a topic specialist, those kind of persons who spent a prolonged amount of time practicing this process and became a pro. So that is Uttama Adhikari. So why I put this is, so any spiritual endeavor or any material, let's take if you do a schooling, right? So in a class of 30, everyone does the same process. Then who gets the first mark? The one that takes a little extra effort every single time for a longer time, he progresses faster than the usual ground. So when we hear the same pastime, of course we all heard Damodar pastime, but every time this freshness on what I can, because every speaker share their experience, their reflection. Every time you hear the same lecture, you learn something new. That something new, you need to think through how I can implement that new in my practice. And the next principle is seek mentorship, like Madan Mohan Prabhu shared earlier. So you are like in the Madhava's age group. So of course Bhaktavatsalas would have traveled through the same Madhava's age group. So we have a very similar experience that we can help you, guide you in your progress as well. So seeking mentorship is a golden rule, especially in this Krishna conscious journey. So with this intention and approach, we jump into the Damodar pastime, the beautiful Yashoda Damodar pastime. So this pastime begins in the Deepavali morning, where Mother Yashoda, who's basically singing and chanting Krishna's glories in mind, she was very joyfully doing this process and also churning butter. So we all know Mother Yashoda is the queen of Vrindavan. Maharaj Nanda is the king, and his wife Yashoda is the queen of Vrindavan, which means she definitely has maid servants to assist her in this process. But she, right, with her time, she puts into a process which I think Krishna will like it. So she churns the butter with so much sincerity and love for Krishna. So Krishna, we all know, it's Bhava Grahi Janardana. So whenever a devotee or a person who likes to do something for Krishna spends his time and effort, he will reciprocate. So like in this case, right, so Krishna comes into the scene. Next slide. So 2 points I think we can take from Mother Yashoda's personal, that though she has other facilities, she spends her own time, she endeavors for Krishna. and Krishna likes this a lot. When devotee spends time thinking about him, chanting about him, that's why we always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Krishna really likes it, and we will, next slide. Oh, all right. So great acharyas here, right? Rupa Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, he defines what is highest bhakti. It is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Anyabhilashita Sunyam, Jnana Karmadhyanavritam, Anukulyena Krishnanu, Silanam Bhaktir Uttama. Bhaktir, you all know, is devotion. Uttama is highest order. He says the highest bhakti is defined as continuous service or emotions directed toward Krishna, his expansion forms, or others related to him, with a pleasing attitude towards Krishna. It should be devoid of desires other than desire to please the Lord, and unobstructed by impersonal jnana, the materialistic ritual of karma and or other unfavorable acts. So what do we take back from this definition of a highest bhakti is continuously focusing our emotions towards Krishna with a pleasing attitude. If you go back to the previous slide, Mother Yashoda, right, she has been thinking about Krishna, she has been singing about his glories, she continuously focuses her emotion and time towards Krishna with a very pleasing attitude. And Rupa Goswami says this is like a highest bhakti as per Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Next slide. So Krishna is definitely pleased, so he is coming into the scene. So Krishna, looking at mother churning butter, singing, he is hungry. Devakanandan Prabhu often say he is playing the part or role of a perfect child. So a child is hungry in the morning, so he asks for milk. Mother, milk. So Mother Yashoda, being a perfect mother, right, what more she has than to take Krishna and feed him. So Mother is feeding Krishna with a very loving and pleasing attitude. So at that time, right, during that feeding Krishna, a milk pot that was kept in the kitchen on the stove by Yashoda started to boil out. So Yashoda, what did she do? It's a very awkward situation. It's a Krishna versus milk. From the materialistic view, if a new person comes, right, it's so if a new person comes, right, his approach will obviously be, right, focus on your child. Your milk could always be replenished. So, but what did Mother Yashoda do? So she kept aside Krishna for a while, thinking that she can put the milk that's boiling out on the ground so that she can save the milk. Apparently, this may look like Mother Yashoda displeased Krishna. In the previous slide, we saw the highest bhakti is focusing our energy towards Krishna in a very pleasing attitude. But this apparently looks Mother Yashoda displeased Krishna. A point to ponder about, isn't it? Next slide. So this is a very beautiful analogy that His Grace Amarendra Prabhu brought in one of his lectures. So this keeping Krishna down may apparently look displeasing. He compares this with another example, which is the third avatar of Dasavadar is Varaha, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. So Varaha Dev came into picture because Hiranyaksha, which is the brother of Hiranyakashipu, he was doing all kinds of nonsense. He was troubling the earth. Of course, a few people are nodding their heads, so they know the pastime. So he was doing all kind of these disturbances. So that's why Mother Earth prayed and Varahadev came. So Varahadev came into picture with a chivalrous attitude. He came out in a fighting spirit. So he wants to engage in a war with Hiranyaksha with a very chivalrous attitude. So whenever Hiranyaksha hid the gada on the body of Varaha, instead of the pain, right, Varahadev is so happy because that's the mood of Varahadev. Though connecting this to the example, right, so Hiranyaksha hitting Varahadev, giving a great pleasure to Varaha, may apparently look he pleases Varaha, but the answer is not, because the intent is different. So Hiranyaksha beating Varahadev, though it may sound pleasing Varaha, he is intended to kill Varaha. So the intention is very bad there. Whereas Mother Yashoda keeping Krishna down, the only intent she does is because I can use that milk, churn butter and provide it to Krishna. So the intent, the sankalpa that we did earlier, so intent is very, very important. Because of this flickering mind, right, sanchala, during our journey in any studies or hearing lectures, our mind tends to go all around the place. But until we set the intention right, it's like holding a roaming horses in one steady path so that it goes in the right direction. So intent is very, very important. Next slide. So Mother Yashoda went into kitchen. So Krishna obviously is playing the perfect child. He started to show a tantrum. Why did Mother Yashoda leave me in the middle of my breakfast? So he took a stone kind of a thing nearby. He breaks the butter pot that Mother Yashoda was churning. He doesn't think too much, but he just breaks. And out of joy, he saw butter all around, so he tends to eat the butter. And then the butter, which is on the floor, got into his palms, legs, thighs, all around. And then after few minutes, he realizes, I did something wrong. Mother Yashoda wouldn't be happy. So what I need to do, I need to escape from the place. So he escapes from the place and goes into the next room. But we saw his legs and palms were all buttered. So he kind of gives a clue where he is going. So if you see in the second image, those are like Krishna's feet leading Mother Yashoda in this pastime into the next room. So in South India, I think across India, all states, right, we have this practice of keeping white patches of, like, it represents Krishna's festival occasion, representing that they invite Krishna into their house. If you always look, those kind of footprints they take from outside to the inward of the house. So the residents of our house, they want to welcome Krishna in this way. So it's like showing our love for Krishna on festival occasions and remembering Krishna. So Krishna, moving from that scene, he went into the next room. And then he saw a lot of butter pots, like these beautiful hanging flower pots. A lot of butter pots were hanging on this room. So he thought, let me eat some of the butter. He is very clever. So there's a pedestal, and he stood over the pedestal. The image is there. If you want a zoomer version from the front side, it's also here. So he stood over the pedestal. He tried to take some of the butter and started to eat. And we noticed that there are few monkeys around him. Krishna is always like, he likes animals and stuff. So there's always like monkeys, calves surrounded by him. So now he likes to give these butters to the monkeys. So Acharya says these monkeys are not just monkeys, but in the previous Ram Lila, so he comes in the Dwapara Yuga, right? In the Treta Yuga, in the Rama avatar, when Ravana kidnapped Sita into Lanka, so these monkeys helped Rama in so many different ways, especially in helping build the bridge from where they were into Lanka. So when Rama finally finished that war, killed Ravana, and he asks back, what do you want, what benefit or what can I award you for the wonderful services that you did? The monkeys say, my only wish is to, in any number of words, I wish to continue to serve you in my potential caliber. So Krishna remembering that, from Ram Lila, Krishna remembering that, he has monkeys along with him, but he doesn't approve their wish about serving. Monkeys serve him, but in this case Krishna is serving them by giving them butter. So these vanaras are very significant there. In this process, right, Mother Yashoda, of course, following the food patches, she comes into the room. Suddenly Krishna notices monkeys moving across. It just ran out of the scene. Of course, Krishna is smart. He knows Mother Yashoda is behind. So of course, like a loving child, he turns around, looks at Mother Yashoda. But this time, a mother with a stick is not a good sign. So Krishna definitely is fearful now. So he starts to run, next page, he starts to run out of the room and across the courtyard. Of course, Krishna is unconquerable, right? But Krishna, seeing her mother, has been endeavoring since morning. So mother has been churning butter. She fed him. So he observed mother is endeavoring so much since morning. So he didn't play too much time. Of course, he is not conquerable, but he let Mother Yashoda catch him after the point. So Mother Yashoda take Krishna up, right? So when she saw Krishna's eyes, it's full of tears, and he is fearful about the situation. So Acharya say the eye drops were smearing the mascara that Krishna put over the eyelids. So it was like a very displeasing scene for Mother Yashoda as a mother. Oh, how can my child, my very dear child, be so fearful about me? I think I'm too harsh at this point, so I'll put him down. But she has things to do inside. But also Krishna is very playful and mischievous on Diwali morning. So what she thought, let me try to place him on a corner and then finish my chores inside, and then I engage him back. So she thought, let me tie Krishna to this wooden mortar that is next to her. So she tried to bind Krishna. She took ropes across the wooden mortar. She tries to bind Krishna in his belly. But we know that this rope is 2 inch 2 finger short. So Mother Yashoda thought, okay, Krishna is not too plump, maybe this rope is not enough. So she took more rope, tied to the existing rope. Now she thinks that this rope would suffice to bind Krishna. But again, she couldn't do it. She tried a couple of times more. And one of the speakers that I heard, this Damodar, he says, this is the Mother Yashoda's attitude at this point, or mindset. The desire of Krishna to be free is preventing her from tying Krishna. So she thinks this way, looking at mother, right? Krishna is of course pleased with mother's endeavor, and then he takes the rope that Mother Yashoda put it on the floor, and then he just extends it a bit more and then give it to Mother Yashoda. Now Mother Yashoda tried, she binds Krishna very easily. So Acharya says this 2 finger 2 inch short is very significant. The first finger represents endeavor, our efforts to Krishna, our efforts to anything that we does. And look how sincere is our effort. In business terms or in technical terms, they call it as sincerity of purpose. What is the purpose and how sincere I am defines what is the result I'm getting. But we shouldn't be focused on the result, but we should focus on the process, which is very, very important. In this, right, Mother Yashoda hadn't intended to bind Krishna from start, but since her process was very pure, fully loving, so Krishna let her bind him. So my Guru Maharaj says one audience, right, he asked Guru Maharaj a very interesting question. Maharaj, among all the pastimes of Krishna, why do we celebrate this Damodar pastime for the entire month, which is unlike the case with other festivals which we don't celebrate for the entire month? So he says this Damodar pastime is very important because it shows how a love of a devotee can conquer an unconquerable person. So Krishna is Achintya, is out of our scope. We couldn't. Devakanandan Prabhu usually says a lot of munis meditating upon yogis to conquer Krishna, to be with Krishna. But only a love of a devotee can give Yashoda that position to bind Krishna, and this is so significant. Being a devotee groups, we need to take this message that if a love of a person is so pure, Krishna let himself to bind him. So the second rope is of course mercy. So looking at her sincere endeavor, Krishna let her bind. So after this, right, Mother Yashoda went back into the room. So the reason she bind Krishna is because of two: to teach him right lessons, and second, to finish off her chores which is pending in the kitchen. And then when Mother Yashoda went back into the room, he looked around and he found 2 tall Yamal Arjuna trees. I remember Devakanandan Prabhu saying that these 2 trees used to be a lot during Krishna's time, but these days it's not that popular. But there are few trees still in Vrindavan, so they preserve it, I guess. A few trees are still there. So two tall Yamal Arjuna trees. So Krishna, who remembers the desire of a devotee, so he definitely has an agenda, the second agenda on this day, Damodar day. So he tried to move towards the tree. So this motor which Mother Yashoda tried is a vertical motor. So when he tries to move, right, this vertical motor flips down into horizontal. Now the flat face becomes two roller. It's like a horizontal rollers. So now Krishna can move better, and he is moving towards these two tall Yamal Arjuna trees. And Krishna moved across two trees, but the motor got stuck in between these two trees. When he pushes further right, these two tall trees fall on the ground. And two beautiful, glorious beings come out of the trees. We saw on the right side picture two personalities which are like glowing, effulgent persons like Nala Kuvera and Mani Griva. So they came out, saw Krishna, they offered their obeisances to Krishna. Oh Krishna, thank you for relieving us. We are Nala Kuvera and Mani Griva. We used to be, we are like sons of Kuvera, which are like treasurer of the heavenly planets. So we used to live a very, very opulent life, but it is because of our misbehavior in the past which led us in this tree form of body in this life. So they started to give background. Of course, Krishna knows everything, but they started to give background for our benefit on what is the significance of this. So they are referring to the previous lives where they used to misbehave when Narada Muni came. So in a lake, right, they misbehaved. They didn't notice Narada Muni appearing. So Narada Muni was walking nearby, and these two persons, Nalakuvera and Manigriva, were taking bath inappropriately, and they didn't respect, they didn't offer obeisances to Narada Muni. They didn't even care if Narada Muni is coming nearby or not. So Narada Muni, looking at this scene, of course we know how glorious Narada Muni is. He is like a bhakta of highest order. Even Krishna in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, text 26, he says, of all the sages, I am sage Narada. So if Krishna says that way, how glorious Narada is. So Narada is not offended. He is not hurt. How can these two people don't show respect to me? But out of his highest caliber of devotion, out of his compassion, right, he wants to teach these two people a good lesson so that they don't repeat the same mistake again, and they need to course correct this. So Narada, though it may apparently look like a curse, it's like a harsh punishment, it is not. So the take back from this pastime is Narada giving this harsh punishment not with the intent to punish these two people, but it's a higher chance where they can meet Krishna in Vrindavan. They can purify them, they can purify themselves by associating with Krishna and become a better person in the future. So because of this, right, so these two persons from that scene, they take next birth as the trees in Vrindavan, and Krishna liberated them. So the key take back is, so these kind of difficult flowery stuffs won't happen in our lives, but the key take back is we need to respect elders. So we need to give proper, we need to be respectful with them. Any small to big punishments they give to us, definitely not with the intent to see us suffer, but they know better because they have traveled to the same journey. So they wanted to course correct ourselves for us to be a better person in the future. So think from that angle, it's a blessing again. So next slide. So there ends the Damodar pastime, two significant pastime, Mother Yashoda binding Krishna with love, and Narada Muni's love or / compassion for two persons. Krishna reciprocates Narada Muni because both the devotees were showing bhakti of highest order. We saw earlier, right? All the emotions towards Krishna in a very, very pleasing way. So there I end my lecture. I'd like to take one or two questions. If not, we can move to Damodar Ashtakam. Go on.
I was thinking that at the start you said that Lord Krishna was fearful of Mother Yashoda when she had a stick. So, but then the Lord is like because even he knows that he is the highest of all, and so how can he be fearful of Mother Yashoda?
It's a very good question. I had the same question when I listened to this pastime before. So he is fearful because he is playing a perfect child, right? So due to his internal potency, which is the spiritual energy of the Lord, nobody near Krishna in the Vrindavan know that he is the absolute personality of Godhead. He is the supreme personality, Bhagavan. They were treating Krishna to be a special child with some special powers, but they treat him like a normal child, and Krishna likes that. So Krishna likes that kind of a rasa throughout his Vrindavan journey. So even when he was fighting with Kaliya, so this kind of scene normal child won't do. But after this scene, residents of Vrindavan kind of forgets that because of the spiritual energy of the Lord. Reason, because Lord wants that way. He likes to engage with other residents like a normal child. That's his will. Thank you. Any other? Go ahead. So of course, Prabhu, my take would be not every person look at the same thing. That's why I think in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about 3 yogas, because human beings and other living species cannot fit in the same basket. Each are like unique persons. So that's why Krishna gives Karma Yoga, where action-oriented persons can engage yoga in that way, Bhakti and Jnana. So likewise, our acharyas are coming from the Gaudiya line, where they see everything in Bhakti. If you take Srila Prabhupada, every translation from verse text 1 to 700, he searches for the Bhakti angle in that verse, whereas a Jnana person doesn't look that way. So it's definitely okay if a person doesn't agree with the principle that our acharya's definition, but we following this, definitely it doesn't require to convince them. So it's okay if they look that way, and that's my take home. It's the nature of a person. One last question.
Just now, like you said that the Vanaras from when Krishna was an avatar as a child, like they were also from like in the Ramayana they helped Lord Ram, but both Lord Ram and Lord Krishna are the avatars of Lord Vishnu. So like I had this question for like many months. So like I just wanted to ask, like who is Vishnu higher than Krishna or Krishna higher than Vishnu? Because like I was asking a few friends in my school, in the like wherever I live, they all have this confusion. So I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. So it's a very, very nice question. I'll put it short because of time. In Bhagavata Purana, which is Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, that we most often refer to, first canto, 3rd chapter, 28th verse, Eshe Chamsha Kalapumsha Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. It clearly tells Krishna is the supreme Bhagavan. From Krishna, the same verse, the second phase of the same verse talks about from Krishna. Every expansion comes. If you go to that Goloka chart that you see, the Goloka chart, it clearly shows how from Krishna other expansions like Swayam Rupa, Swayam Prakasha, all those different expansions come. As long as this material universe is concerned, everything comes from Vishnu. So all these avatars that you see in this has to come from Vishnu, but Vishnu himself comes from Krishna in the spiritual world. So from the material planet, these expansions are coming from Vishnu, but even Vishnu comes from the spiritual planet Golok Vrindavan Krishna. So Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan, Supreme Person. Alright, thank you very much for patiently hearing. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Babu.
Very nice class, very practical class. So what we will do now is, we will now sing Damodar Ashtakam. If I can invite Tusha to lead us in Damodar Ashtakam. So it's a closed group. So what we request is, refresh the Damodar Ashtakam on the screen. Tusha will lead us. Of course, he will sing the first two lines, and then we can repeat, and then we will sing the next two lines, and we can repeat as well. And what we will also have is, we will also distribute them. We can also prove if they can come forward, because it's a small group. So the lamps will be here. We can orderly line up, pick up the lamp. We offer it to Lord Damodar. Deity is there. Just go 7 rounds around him, and then you can place the lamp tag on the ladder. As Prabhu nicely said, offering of the lamp is a physical act, but we should try and fine-tune the intent. We feel that it's a 30-second act, but if the intent is right in the 30 seconds, then it goes a long way for us. So let's do that. Tusha, you ready?
Hare Krishna. Namamishwaram Satchidanandharupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Namamishwaram Satchidanandharupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam
महारानी की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय श्रील गुरुदेव की जय गौर